Okay, so today's some weird random things I was going to talk about. One thing is so this morning, I was really conked out. I was like in whatever brain wave it is where you're just in a solid dream. I don't know what it is, but I was definitely not in my bedroom. And I was just out and about. And Stella woke me up. And when she did, she just started crying and crying, and she wouldn't go back to sleep. So I just got up. And when I got up, or when I was laying there at first, God, my nose is so itchy. And I've been sneezing. I know that there's probably something, some poisons or something they've dropped on us. I was outside yesterday doing some stuff, and I probably was breathing in all of those toxins. So I went, when I woke up, I was like, okay, I noticed I was hearing buzzing, but it seemed to not be as loud. But in my room, it has seemed like that since I put the tinfoil in. Oh my gosh. It's so no itchy. Um, and so then when I came out here, I was like, I don't want to tune into it too much, because when you tune in, it starts being really super loud when you start really paying attention to the buzzing in your ears. And so I didn't want to really focus on it, but I was like, it definitely doesn't seem as loud. And I was like, I brushed my teeth this morning with, I'm trying to not use toothpaste so much. And funny enough, I just saw this dental student yesterday on TikTok saying that brushing is to help us remove plaque. Doesn't really do much else, but we really need fluoride. Fluoride is what we need. It's like, are they teaching them this, or is this girl is paid advertisement? Like, what the hell? But I had just seen this other guy, and he was talking about this oil swishing, that it does something to your teeth. You can look it up. It's something about oil, and you swish it around in there, and he does it, I think, a couple times a day. Oh man, my nose. God. And so he was saying that it's really good for your teeth. That, I don't know, old way of doing things. And but I had seen a few weeks ago, about the mixing the olive oil and the cloves. And so I've been trying to do more of that, or baking soda, or, just full on brushing my teeth with some sort of chemical paste. So I did the cloves and the olive oil this morning, and you just put it on, and then you're supposed to leave it for like 15 minutes, but it's really hard. For one thing, the cloves get super hot, and the oil just, becomes more and more saliva. So it just becomes this big swoosh in your mouth. So I spit it out, but some of the cloves get all caught up in there. So anyways, it could be all over my teeth. I don't know. My eyes are so bad at this point. It is, I just have to resolve myself to not seeing. Like, it's weird. But anyways, back to my other story, because I just was feeling cloves on my teeth, and I was like, oh, might need to say that there's gloves on my teeth, or it's gonna look like I've got stuff all stuck in my teeth probably. But anyway, so I was sitting there thinking about this, the frequency, and I was like, I wonder if they turned it down or something. But I still feel this like overly excited feeling in my chest. Like, I can't really make it out. Like, I keep thinking, why do I feel so excited? Man, I feel excited. Why do I feel so excited? And sitting there thinking, like, maybe it's just, I'm just so happy. I'm just this excited to be alive. And so I'm sitting there thinking, like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so happy. Everything's so wonderful. And then when I got up to go take a shower and start doing all that stuff, and I went in the kitchen, I saw there's an ambulance and stuff again over there at that house that they had two the last time. And so I don't know, but it's just weird that one time when I was saying the frequencies were up, and that ambulance was there. And then this morning I couldn't tell, but you still have that really excited feeling. So if they change the frequency a little, I don't know, like if it does it so much in your ears or if it does it more like in your heart space. And so these people who are not healthy or think that they have something else going on or whatever, and then so the feeling in your heart space would feel like, anxiety. A lot of people that came into the ER were panic attacks, and panic attacks just came to my head and then it just flew right through. But indigestion and anxiety, because it's like around the same place, and it can make your heart go fast and slow, and make you feel super anxious. So a lot of people will have those kind of symptoms and then come in thinking they're having a heart attack, but they're not having one. So I was thinking the same thing as the last time when they did some kind of, I don't know. I mean, I can't sit there and say, oh, this day they turned up the frequency, this day they turned it down, this day how could we possibly know? All we can do is pay attention with our senses to our own environment. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I feel? And, I was noticing some stuff yesterday when I got back. I got back Monday. Yesterday was Tuesday. So yesterday was my full day here. And I was noticing stuff with the frequency, but I kept thinking, it doesn't seem like it's as loud. It doesn't seem like it's like buzzing in my head as much, and I don't feel as dizzy. So, but then if they turn it, whatever they're doing, and then plus whatever chemicals, it's the interaction between these things. And, I've seen so many things lately. Yesterday, after I had just said about, as a nurse, we should have probably been studying what all these different toxins that people were taking. Weirdly enough, right after that, I was on TikTok and somebody was on there talking about that, only they were saying what the different toxins, what it does to your neurological, your kidneys, all your organs, your with diabetes, high blood pressure, all the stuff that people think they have is all from the toxins. Everything, aging, everything is from the poisons. And it's so crazy because when we start paying attention to what's going on and we start noticing, hey, there's poison in this. I thought the FDA was supposed to be protecting us. What the hell's going on? There's poison in this. Oh, there's poison in that. And now how many people are noticing the spraying? And the spraying is on extreme. I mean, I can't even believe how much the spraying is right now. But, as people start waking up to all of these different toxins that we're consuming and seeing, like, we aren't really getting sick. We're just being poisoned. I saw one woman yesterday and she was showing the spraying over her house, and she was like, they're spraying us like insects. But that is what they're doing. That's how they treat us. That's what they think. And it is so much about this soul school. We're here to learn. They think they can do whatever they want, and they do whatever they want. Well, I don't know. Maybe they could do worse, and they are holding back. Who knows? They're, a different kind of species than most of us. Most of us carry a different kind of energy. So, but we come into this world to go through these experiences so that we can, understand ourselves, like I say all the time. But to them, I think, it is like an abusive school. It's like you go to an abusive boarding school where they hate you. And, they just see you as a lab rat. They don't care. They're just testing. And what's weird, too, is think about, what are they doing all this testing for? Like, what is their plan? Like, okay, they see what can kill us, what can kill us slowly. And then, is there a plan for the future generations that all this testing is for? I guess it's weird. And but on the soul thing, like this morning, I started watching it last night. There's only 3 episodes, and it's this mini series thing called Candy. And I had seen the well, I would say the original, but it's a true story about this woman. And I remember when it happened, because she was in Texas, and I grew up in Texas, so I remember when this happened. And this woman, it was a really weird story. But now that you know, like the news changes stuff, it's hard to know because the movies were never. Well, this movie's not over yet, but the other one was never exactly what I had heard from the newspaper. Because in the newspaper, they made a big deal about this woman was so abused that the other lady said, shh, or be quiet or something to her. And it just made her go crazy. And so she axed her to death 40 times or something. And they haven't gotten to that part in this one. They're doing all this build up. But in the older one with Barbara Hershey, they didn't show that part. It was some other trigger that happened that she went and, freaked out. She said the woman was trying to kill her. So she had to grab the axe and axe her. So, you don't know stuff unless you're there. But so I was watching this docu-series thing, and I was just noticing how crappy every person's relationship was. So crappy. And even the preacher, and this would have been, I think, more like the 80s. And this preacher, she left her husband, which, she was getting divorced after like 11 years, because she said, I haven't seen another man naked in 11 years. And so she left her husband, and everyone in the parish, was just like, I think it's called a parish, whatever, the church congregation. They all were like freaked out, like, oh my God, she's gone against the Lord. She's gotten divorced. That's like, you could see all of these different women in sitting in the pews, all kind of freaking out, like, oh my gosh, who's next? Because like divorce was such a no-no for so long. And then the people, so it was showing these different people's relationship, and I'm thinking about it as, souls learning. And this one woman, she's so needy. She puts so much of her needs on this other person, and they just begin to be drained. They don't ever want to be home. They're always going, and both people feel completely empty and disconnected. They don't feel connected. They don't even barely have conversations. They're just, it is like, when you get in these bad relationships, it's like this person is putting more pressure on you, and you're already sad and lonely or whatever, It's just weird how it works. But so this one couple, they are completely just disconnected. And the guy keeps trying to please the woman. She doesn't even know what she wants. She wants something, but she doesn't even know. And she's always upset. She always feels like nobody accepts her. But, she doesn't accept herself. And she's mad at herself because she hasn't lost baby weight from her other baby, who's, I don't know, 9 years old or something. Maybe she was 7. But she, she felt shame about that. And her husband, he said he didn't care, but then later he was telling another girl how hot he thought she was, and she was really small and skinny. So, he wasn't really being honest with his wife. He could have said, hey, I know it's bothering you and you feel bad about yourself. Why don't we go and start having an evening walk together? Why don't we go out and walk, and, that'll make you feel better, and we can spend time connecting, because this is even before cell phones. Just think of that added thing where people just got consumed in their cell phone. How much did that destroy relationships? So that one, had its whole weird thing going. And the other one that they were showing a lot about, because they show a lot about these two couples. The other one, the guy is totally into his kids, totally into his wife, but no passion, none whatsoever. Like this guy could care less. He didn't care about, and his wife, she's all into romance novels and she wants passion and excitement. She wants someone to love her. She wants someone to, throw her down and be passionate with her. And this guy is not the guy to do it. He doesn't give a crap about, when he goes to bed, he's the one who rolls on his side. Like, but he seems to really love his family. He just doesn't have that kind of desires, I guess. And one thing too, and like the woman has this whole part where she's in the tub, and she's reading a romance novel. And so then she wants to masturbate. And so she's trying to do that in this tub, and she just keeps getting interrupted, the kids, the husband. And I was thinking, it's so weird how religion has made people feel dirty and shameful about their sexuality. And, it hasn't made them. They use it so that they can also feel bad about themselves. There's so many things that people look for, something that's the parameters. It's these rules that people set for themselves. Like she feels shame to enjoy her own sexuality. And there seems like that is kind of where people got more into like Tinder or something, because it feels awkward. You talk to people about masturbation and they are like, oh, but then you can say, yeah, do doggy style, and they'll be like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's like, and I think that is something that is going to be super important as we move forward as a society, to be more into understanding your own body, your own self-love. I put this TikTok on, I don't know, like a week and a half ago. It's weird because sometimes, these TikToks that are like a week, 2 weeks old, and all of a sudden they'll just be like views, comments. Oh, my nose won't quit running and itching. It's got to be something with the toxins. I know it is. It just comes out of the blue like this. And so what was I going to say? But I think it's important for people to, as we move forward, the TikTok, yeah. Okay, so I have put this TikTok, and it was about, if women understood their cycle, they wouldn't need to use procedures. And then plus I said, plus when you understand the government's not trying to protect your rights, they are selling little dead carcasses to the farm, and there's a lot of big business going on with this, parenthood, this planned place. So I had said something about that because people were freaking out. So I was just saying, if you know your cycle, you don't need to use a procedure, so there was a couple of people like, what are you talking about? Like they didn't even know they had a cycle. And I had just talked to somebody else who didn't really understand. And I remember them teaching that in school when I was there, when we had to go do that sex ed. Because my mom didn't tell me anything. She just like, go take the class. She was so uncomfortable talking about sex or sexuality or any of that stuff. So, but I learned about the cycle, and it's not like I was an expert. My cycle was always messed up until I got to be in my 20s. It was never set. And so that was another reason why I wasn't even sure if I was a girl. I was very confused for a long time. Something was weird with me. And, but those girls, like, if a person, the people who have fertility problems, they have to learn their cycle, because they have to figure out those days that they can get pregnant. They have to really focus on those days. It's the same thing, only it's the other way. You learn it, you figure out those days, and then you don't have sex during those days. There's other things to do. It's like, how many people have to have sex every day? Like, there's other things you can do anyways. So it doesn't make any sense. It's just kind of like, I don't know what to do. Anything can happen, like not taking any responsibility, which is part of the soul learning and experiencing. So you go in and you just don't pay any attention, you're getting pregnant, then that's going to teach you what you need to pay attention to. In some cases, not every soul's here to learn the same thing. So I was just thinking that, there's so much to learn and so much about sexuality and so much about acceptance. When I was at my daughter's and they were telling me, how far this was going with this, stuff with kids and sexuality and how it's just so ridiculous. And I was, yeah, I totally agree. It's completely ridiculous. And they were saying, what were they saying? It was something, just pops right in my head. And as soon as I start to give the story, then it just goes, well, too late. It'll come back to me probably after I finish recording. But I think that as we move forward, that people have to get more, I remember, yeah, because when they were talking about that, I was like, yeah, and people have to stop thinking that they're falling in love with the outside of somebody. People have to learn to focus on the inside. And see, you can't get to know somebody's inside on Tinder or any kind of quick way like that. You have to get to know somebody's soul. That's true love. That's when you really fall in love with somebody. When you love their soul, like you love how they look at things, you love how they act or how they perceive, and you have an appreciation, you have a connection. And people have not gone that deep. Everything about relationships been so shallow. And then when you see how dissatisfied people are, that they people don't even want the same things, yet they try and make relationships work, and neither are satisfied, or there's just this constant divorce. Like I was constantly getting divorced, married. And it was, it was me out of control. I wasn't taking any responsibility for my own growth. I was just looking for the next fix. That's what a relationship junkie does. And so, now I'm a reformed relationship junkie. Not to say I wouldn't have another relationship. I will. I just won't do, will only be of a higher quality. I won't do that low relationship thing anymore. And I mean, like, really get to know somebody, really appreciate them before going to another level. People jump into the next level before they even get to know somebody. Then they're all caught up in the lust and the sexuality. And then they get to know them and it's like, ooh, I don't even really like you. But now I did this so many times, start going out with somebody and then, you get all caught up in the lust and the passion. And then, you're sitting there with them a few weeks later and you're like, oh, I don't even really like this person. Oh, God, look at them. But we don't take the time to really get to know someone and let them get to know us. We put on a front. We put on who we want to be instead of showing who we truly are. And then if we're needing to put on a front, then are we really comfortable with ourselves? Are we really liking ourselves? And if we don't like ourselves, should we even be entering a relationship? And these are the things I think that we're going to start really considering more. I think relationships are going to go to another caliber. I think that we're going to set a much higher standard for our future in relationships and how to form them and, who should be together. We're going to move out of this, like, we're going to marry our 12-year-old off to the 50-year-old guy, because that kind of stuff still goes on. And then plus, for people to get comfortable with their own sexuality. If you can't make your own self feel satisfied and appreciate your own orgasm, then how in the world can you be comfortable to go in and have join in with somebody else in the experience? It doesn't make any sense. But when I saw that woman, how awkward she was, in the tub, I was like, I know a lot of people like this. And still, like I said, trying to speak about masturbation with especially some older people. So, I don't know, young people, like, they're so, like, disconnected. They're so, it's like, you show 'em murder, murder, murder all the time, and then pretty soon, it's just like, oh, it's another murder. That's like a disconnect. And it's the same thing about sex. Everything is just, yeah, just do it all, do it all. Like all of this, the weird stuff I've heard now, like all these weird names of stuff, like a snowball or whatever. They come up with the weirdest deviant stuff and then name it. And who knows who's been doing that? I'm not just saying like younger people did this. I'm sure it's tons of older people. But, I never heard this stuff until I was talking to younger people. And it could be just the older people's awkwardness of even talking about sex, because a lot of people who are older were raised by very rigid, religious, you don't do this, you don't do that, you better follow God's law, even though it was like, okay, you don't dance, you don't have sex. And I mean, there's people who, won't have sex till they're married, which is, well, if you're not going to have sex till you get married, but you want to marry this person and spend the rest of your life with them, where's the rule come from? Where do the rules come from that we choose to follow? Do they come from in our heart, or do they come from outside of us? And that's where I think that we need to move into following the rules inside of our heart. I can't imagine, being with somebody for a long period of time, being engaged, planning the wedding, and, not ever having sex with them. But I don't think it's a good idea to go jump in bed with somebody. But by the time you are getting married, I would think you need to be comfortable with your sexuality with this person. So I don't know, but everybody has to follow their own guidance, how they feel about things. I just think it's important to start questioning where your rules come from. Why do you feel a certain way? Why do you look at things a certain way? And, just to consider, like, what is it that I feel about this? Not what I'm told to feel, but how do I feel on the inside? If I just were to follow my own rules, how would I feel about premarital sex? Or, I really think that I think we're not going to be doing this, hundreds of partners kind of situation anymore, like where people are comparing and tallying and, well, I've been with this many, well, I've been with this many, I think it's going to go to a lot more of a sacredness with the sexuality of people. And they're going to see their body more as a temple. You want in, you're going to have to, be the right caliber. Nobody just gets to come in and share my my love. It's kind of like it is your love for yourself. But you have to get to that point. And that's when, when I was watching that, it was just like, none of these people like themselves. They're in these relationships because they feel trapped. They don't like the other person. Both people are miserable. And look at, if they took responsibility and they were honest, then, they could move towards having a happy life. Or, they don't have to stay together. You can still, because I think even when people get divorced, if you do it when you are, if I say it like that, then it would be kind of be like, well, this is how, we need to change so we can continue to have divorce. But I think we need to move out of having divorce and so many marriages, and, especially because it has so much to do with this government piece of paper. But really, it is when these people come into your life, it is a true thing. Some people come in for a season. It's like that orbit thing. Some things come in and they come, and they're there all the time. Some things just come in and then go out. Not everything is meant to last forever. But that doesn't mean that relationship doesn't matter. I've had some really significant relationships that taught me a lot, that were all different time periods. So it would be, I think that we just, need to just focus on taking more time and really deciphering, is this somebody I really see in my life forever? Is this someone who's just here to teach me things? And maybe, we need to have different kind of ceremonies, not ones that we, plead for, all my rest of my life, I'll be with you till death, even if you're sick. A lot of people get left when they're sick. There's so many people who get cancer and the other person just can't handle it. They can't handle the person getting more attention. They can't handle the person always being sick. They can't handle the change in their lifestyle, like all these different things. And, and did they not really love that person? Or was that always supposed to happen? So they each learned from that event, because that's what everything has been so far, is us learning who we are in a relationship, who we are in our life, how we treat other people, and how we respond to how others treat us. That's what everything is about, has been about through this age, is learning about that. And even for the Piscean age, it is that it is the age of the fish, something about with Jesus and the resurrection and stuff. Like, you could go more into what all the deeper meanings are, but it is something with the duality, and it has something to do with, which you would think that would be Gemini, but I heard it explained before, but you can look it up about it. But it was to teach us about this, hierarchy, and I'm better than you, and this, I don't know, there's a lot of toxic things we learned through the age of Pisces, I believe, or the Piscean age. So, but a lot of the different ages have all been, kind of all been leading up to this. There was the warring kind of time, because this changing of this cosmic cycle that we're in, when it goes through the this process of going through the different, because each age is like 2600 years or something like that. It has to go through all of the different cycles, and then the age, I believe, is when it goes through all of the different cycles in each zodiac, and then it reaches the end of that age. And so the end of the whole session, there's something with the 26,000 year cycle, and I could be getting it mixed up. If you're interested, you can go look, but there's definitely a cycle, 26,000 years, and then also the 2,000 year age cycle. So we're at the end of the big cycle, not just the end of the Piscean age. It's the end of that age, but it's the end of this whole cycle of ages. And that's why we have this ascension. It's this big change. But when you go through and you look at what different things that were available that people learned, and I just think in the last 100 years, you can really see it leading up to where we are right now. Like, I think things are so more magical about this whole place than people can even imagine. People get so caught up in the 3D kind of life about it, and about how the three-dimensional represents in their own life. And it's very, there's a lot of toxicity that has to do with it. A lot of pain and suffering that goes in this three-dimensional existence. And so I think that there has been so much with the learning how to learn how to love ourselves. But that is the biggest challenge. And that, to me, is where we are right now. Learning to love ourselves, because it's not something that we've been taught. It has always been, even back to, if I went back a couple of generations to the grandparents who were raised by, the values of the Depression. You can lose everything. It can be gone in a second, and you've got to work hard. You got to save and hold things back because you don't know what's going to happen. And then there was a lot of rules, a lot of like, you don't go have sex, you have sex to have a baby kind of thing. I think there was probably a lot of married couples who didn't have sex. And it's weird too, is how many of those couples that they would go and cheat and have sex with somebody else, not have sex that, like, there's something wrong with me if I ask my husband to have sex with me, but if I go out and just do it with a stranger, then nobody's going to know I'm a weirdo pervert. You know what I mean? It's weird. But that is something that soul has to go through so that it can learn. So we've been going through all of these changes and relationships and dynamics and families and, all of the different aspects of relationships. And that has really been on the forefront. That's been what we've been talking about for, I don't know, 30 or 40 years. I mean, the stuff with the younger generation that blames so much on us, the older generation, everything is our fault. It's so weird too. It's like, do they not realize that they're going to be to blame for everything going on right now then? Do they not take responsibility for everything happening right now, but we're supposed to take responsibility for everything that happened 20, 30, 40 years ago? It's like, it's much bigger than they have any idea about, because it's all about these cycles and the collective and what we're here to learn about and what we're here to experience, so we expand. But this is this time where we've reached that, like, we did all the classes, and now it's the time for us to put it into action, to actually go into our own self, stop living by the rules, go into our own self and discover what the rules are inside of our own self. And that is going to be, I think it's going to be really transformative in relationships. And it's going to, and when I was seeing them, before, when I was on TikTok, not this time, I had a bunch of different people that I was following that I never see now on here. But on my old TikTok, there was a lot of people, and a lot of younger guys telling other guys, that you got to quit doing just having random sex with people. You're giving away your sexuality and your energy, and like, people are looking at it on another level. People really are starting to take things more serious about relationships, and and it all just goes to the focusing on yourself and trying to understand yourself and love yourself. That's the key thing. If you can get yourself to the point of you love yourself, it doesn't matter if somebody comes in and thinks you're an idiot. You can just look at them as like, well, they just don't know me that well. It doesn't matter what other people think of you. It only matters what you think of you. And that's not to say, you should go around just being a dick to people. Oh, nobody matters. That's not it. It's how you look at your own self. We've spent way too long looking outside of us for approval. We got to start giving our own self approval. We got to start appreciating our own self. And then when you get to that level of loving yourself, appreciating yourself, not being triggered by other people's thoughts and feelings, and to just let it go and just, glide through, you glide through a room. You're just like float right through. You don't care. You're not tied down to what other people think of you. They're all caught up in their own minds, and they're spinning out in their own thoughts, and most people don't even know what the hell is going on with other people. They're so consumed with what's going on with them. So when you get to that point of really being in that, I love myself, that is the time to think about, well, I love myself and I feel good about myself. So now is more the time where I can allow another person into my life. I'm not struggling to learn how to love myself. I already have reached that part. So then the next step is, how am I in a relationship? How am I with loving somebody else? Where are my triggers there? How do I react as a person who loves myself? Because I've never entered a relationship as somebody who loved myself. That was something I've never been familiar with. So, when you think about that, it feel or seem like, that would be a challenge, because it changes the game, because every relationship is always looking outside of you for somebody to fix something inside of you. It's just so funny too when you see these movies, and that is so clear. And I'm not talking about, I'm keep referencing this one because it's a true story. And even though they say that it is whatever, they change the story a little for drama, but I know this story, and I know that these people were really struggling like this with their relationships. They really were having an affair and all that stuff. But when you just see how much they just don't, it's like you get open door into other people's lives sometimes, it's really voyeuristic, really, because everybody has their own struggles. But right now we're at this time when we need to really start understanding and acknowledging the problems that we've had as a collective. And so I just think that this is a really important time in our human history, or the history of Earth, that for us to really evolve as ourself, and then start, really going at relationships at a new level. I really think that it's going to change so much in the world when people stop feeling like life's out to get them, and life is too hard, and all of that stuff is all ways that they've trained you to think to make it more difficult, so that you were a prime candidate for pharmaceuticals. So it's all done on purpose to create the illusion that life sucks, because really it doesn't suck. It's hard. You get through the hard parts. You grow when you go through hard things, and you get all of these opportunities to experience and love and laugh with people and hug people and stuff. All things you can't do when you're not in a body. You have to be in a body to have those experiences. And so why wouldn't we, when we're here, why wouldn't we just be so excited? Like, this is the best thing. I remember when I was a kid feeling so excited about being in a body. I would look at mine all the time, and I'd be like, just amazed, like, oh my God, I've got these fingers and they work, and feet, and they walk me around, and all of that stuff that I found just so fascinating. And I think that we just all need to, I don't know, I just think that there's been so much mind play on people's, to keep them feeling so shitty. But it's just a change of attitude. Everything is a change of attitude. That's all it is. It's a change of perspective. It's a change of perception. It's a change of the way you look at things. And it changes your whole life when you do. When you stop thinking life is out to get you, and you start seeing every challenge is a good thing, not a bad thing. And I just think that we've gone through so many for so long that people are just so beat down. But I think as we go through the healing, and we're going to just completely level up on relationships. I don't think in the future we're going to have divorces like this. I don't think we're going to have people rushing into marriage. I don't think we're going to have so much with the people getting strangers pregnant and having to be in a relationship, raising a child with a stranger, I think those are all going to be things that will be written in our history books. And I don't know how long it's going to take for us to get to this new angle on life, where we appreciate life and we take it more seriously and we understand it and we try and do our best. And, I don't know how long all that's going to take. It's going to have to take some awareness, looking at it logically with our common sense, and a lot of healing, a lot of, taking on your own responsibility. That's the empowerment to change, is taking on your responsibility of self and how you feel and how you look at things. So anyways, that's a lot of talking about relationships, where it was really, really just sticking out to me, watching these people struggle and not love themselves and not love each other and be, they have to stay married because they told God they were going to. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if it leads to affairs and murder and just, I wanted to, unhappiness, but there was another word I want to say, but just lead to so much pain. It's supposed to be, relationships are supposed to be about love. We're supposed to be leading it towards love and appreciation and acceptance and like a bond. And it has just gotten so tainted and dirty. There's people who say, I love you, and they don't even know what it means. People have accepted abuse as love, and they just have forgotten. We decide what love is. We decide how we want to express love and stuff. We don't have to play along with these games anymore. And as I think everybody wakes up, it's going to be a natural way that people just want more for themselves. They want more out of relationships. They don't want to be tied down to people that they don't even really know, and they're supposed to raise a family with them and stuff. So I think we're headed for a lot of changes, and a biggest part, besides the changes in ourselves, is I think there have been changes in our relationships, in our communities. I think the communities are going to become a lot more of a place where people feel safe and connected, and they can find relationships that have meaning. No more of this city kind of live in fear, and who knows how many people are put in there just to terrorize us, to keep us distant from one another. I mean, it's all, their whole thing is all just this, harnessing our energy from our consciousness, and then they, this trap that they're trying to get people into this virtual world. So, it's, you just have to want more for yourself, and it has so much to do with just understanding about life and why it happens, why it occurs, what you're here to do, what you're here to learn, and as a collective, how this is a giant school for us to all learn. And that we are at this part, it's like the sixth graders are preparing to go to junior high, and it's going to be a different life in junior high than it was in elementary. So anyways, I might be back and see how this day goes. It's kind of got this sun. So weird too, how it will be at some morning, it might be at 8 o'clock in the morning where the sun is, and the next day it'll be 10 o'clock where it is. It's like, because I can use my windows like a sundial, like where the trees are and where, so I can pay attention to that. And yeah, there's just a lot of weird stuff, and who knows how. I mean, if we're a projection, but we feel we're real, then how much of this world is a projection? So, I mean, I don't know. I think that we have a lot of stuff that's going to be very exciting coming out, and I'm excited for the future. And I mean, this part is quite tedious, but we will get through it, and we will be stronger, and we will have learned a lot from this. And I mean, I know I'm learning a lot from 2020 on, and that's not even counting when I started having my awakening. I'm just talking about as this information has been coming in that has been so traumatic. I've learned a lot. It's really taught me a lot. And it's really, I know it's taught a lot of people a lot. I mean, you don't very often talk to somebody who now tries to convince you that they're, like, oh no, it's what I say. Most people say, oh, go look this up, go look that up. I saw this, and you should look up about this. Most people are just doing that now. Go out and look this up or that up, because it is all about us educating ourselves. And when we read something for ourselves, we have our own perception. We don't need somebody to tell us their perception of something. We need our own perception. because our soul's going to tell us what we need to know. And there's a lot of things like I would share with my one friend. We would do this back and forth like, oh, you got to see this, you got to read this, you got to hear this or whatever. This is so profound. And then they would be like, well, I just didn't really get anything out of it. Because sometimes something's just directed to you. So don't feel disappointed if you try and share something and it's so profound, because we don't all have the same thing that we're here to learn. And that's why don't get caught up. And if somebody doesn't understand you, they're here for a completely different journey. We're not all on the same journey. We're just here to learn to accept each other in our journeys. So I will talk to you later. Bye.